All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here, and let's talk about your gait. The way you move and what it'll tell you about where you have mobility issues and where you should focus to improve the way you walk. I'm going to talk about a couple ways of walking that are actually problematic, and I'm going to talk about what causes them and what you can do to address them. So first up, we're going to talk about walking, pigeon-toed, basically, with the toes out. Walking pigeon-toed looks kind of like this. Toes out, and you get kind of a sway from your pelvis. All right? So one more time. Toes out, and I'm kind of exaggerating it here so it's real obvious, but it looks kind of like this. Now, walking pigeon-toed can come from a couple places. The primary place it comes from is tight hips, and that's caused by we all sit a lot, we don't have a lot of hip extension, and we don't have a lot of internal hip rotation, which is the ability to turn your hip to the inside. And what ends up happening is, because your hips are tight like this and you don't have hip extension, you end up walking with your pelvis. So you're swinging your pelvis like this rather than extending your hip. All right, so rather than doing this, you're doing this. All right, and it's fine, we can do this a little bit. There has to be a little bit of pelvic swing to complete your walk. But if you're doing all your walking from your pelvis and little to none from your hips, then what you're doing is you're actually using the muscles in your back to walk instead of using your glutes, which are the largest, strongest muscles in your body. That's what you want to be using to drive your walk. The other reason that this can happen is if you're lacking flexion, specifically dorsiflexion in your ankle. So this is dorsiflexion, your ankle's ability to bend up towards your shin, right? So if you lack dorsiflexion, when you step, you don't have a choice but to roll over the inside of your foot as you walk, okay? So the solution to your body's solution to tight ankles and tight hips is to turn your feet out and walk by swinging your pelvis rather than using your hips. So let's talk about 2 stretches you can use to start opening these things up and really start making this work better for you. We're going to share a few exercises for the pigeon toe walk because there are a bunch of things you can do to address this. We're going to start with a little ankle dorsiflexion work. I'm using a pad here simply to give me a little cushion under my knee for this cheese grater surface. So you're going to get down into a tall half kneeling position. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to practice shifting our weight forward. And you can move this because it doesn't matter how far depending on your mobility. I'm fairly mobile, so I can actually come in here and work like this. All right, if you don't have this much mobility, you can start here and just shift your weight forward like this. And all you're looking to do is get some dorsiflexion into that ankle, and to get a little extra work here, you can actually push the ball of your foot down into the ground when you get in position. So get here and then try and push the ball of your foot into the ground. That's going to train these muscles to be in a stronger, longer position. Now, the other thing you can do from this position is you can try and curl your toes up. So get into position, try and curl your toes up and hold that. And that's going to help these muscles on the front of your shin get stronger in a shorter position. So this is training ankle dorsiflexion. This is going to help you roll over your big toe and have a more natural gait. So one more time, you can shift your weight forward, push the ball of your foot down into the ground. So push the ball of your foot down into the ground like that. Train the muscles on the back of your leg in a lengthened position. Or you can get into your dorsiflexion, curl your toes up and train the muscles on the front of your shin in a shortened position. So that's dorsiflexion. The next thing we want to work on is a little bit of hip extension. So for this one, I've shown this one before, but I just wanted to have you guys to have all this in one video and not have to jump around. So for this one, you're gonna get, again, into a tall half kneeling position. You wanna tuck your pelvis under, and then you just want to shift your hips forward while keeping your alignment ear, shoulder, hip, knee. Well, not the knee, because the knee should be shifting behind you. All right, and this is going to work on the hip extension. So the muscles on the front of your body that cross your hip joint. If you want to make this more active, you can actually come back to your set position and physically try and push your leg behind you to train active hip extension. So instead of pulling yourself forward with your front leg, you're going to actually be driving from your knee and pushing yourself forward, engaging your glutes and your hamstrings to retrain these muscles to work in a shortened position. Now, the other thing you can do is you can try and sort of scissor your legs together. So you're going to pull back with this heel and pull forward with this knee. So get into your position, and now actively squeeze your legs together. And again, this is going to train the muscles on the front of your hip to contract in a lengthened position. And this is working on your hip extension. So this is going to help you extend behind you while you're walking. Swing your leg behind you. Now there is one more stretch here I'm going to show. Again, I've shown this one before too, but I want you guys to have it all in one place. For this one, we're going to lay on our back. I showed this version sitting in a chair. You can also do this from the ground. Lay on your back. You're going to put, so we're stretching our right leg. So right ankle on our left knee. Now, if you already have a stretch here, that's fine. You can just hang out. If you don't have a stretch here, you're going to reach behind your left knee. You're going to push your ankle into the ground. And you're going to rotate your knee out. And then you're just going to pull your left knee towards your chest. And you can just hold this and do it like a 30 to 60 second active stretch, or you can push harder and pull harder and do like 6 to 10 reps and make this more like an active stretch that you do reps and sets of. And this is going to help release the muscles on the outside of your hip so that you don't have to keep your toes pigeon-toed while you walk. So those three things will really help alleviate that pigeon-toed walk. Now, the second walking pattern that's problematic is kind of a waddle. So it's going to look kind of like this. And obviously these two can be combined together. And again, I'm really exaggerating this, although as people get older, you can see people walking almost this way. And this is caused by not being able to pick up one side of your pelvis. Okay? And what you're doing instead of picking up a side of your pelvis is you're shifting your entire body off to the side. And it creates sort of a waddle walk. And the reality is if you put the two of them together, it kind of looks like this. And I know you've probably seen people walking like this to a certain degree. And those are those two movement patterns put together. So if you're at that stage, you really, really need to be looking at this stuff. So let's talk about an exercise you can do to help retrain your body's ability to basically do what Katie Bowman likes to call the pelvic lift, which is lifting one side of your pelvis. Now, to correct the waddle walk, you have to learn to control your pelvis independently side to side. I mean, you also have to have decent single leg balance, right? If you can't balance on one leg, you're kind of just practicing falling from side to side. So single leg balance is really important, but we're going to talk about the pelvic lift. So you've got the tops of your pelvic bone here. These are sort of the spine, the highest point on your pelvis. And you want to practice, we're going to lift the right leg, so you're going to push your left leg into the ground, which is going to bring your right leg up. All right, and we're trying to get a fair bit of range of motion here, because that is what is going to allow you to swing your foot forward without a lot of side-to-side movement. So to practice the pelvic list, and it's helpful to put your hands on your pelvis here just so you can feel what you're actually doing. We're gonna pick up our right leg, so you're gonna shift your body weight to your left slightly, and then you're just going to push your left leg down into the ground and pick up the right pelvis as high as you can. So push your left leg down as low as you can, and that's gonna allow you to lift your right leg. So shift your body weight, left leg push down, and when I say push down, you're pushing the pelvis down. It's less lift the right side and more push the left side. And this is important because you're going to drive off that left leg to step forward. All right, and you can try the other side as well. Shift to the right, drive the right leg down. And the more you practice this, the better you're going to train these muscles, the less you're going to need to swing your whole body weight side to side when you walk. So down, swing forward, down, swing forward, down, swing forward. And this is going to give you a more balanced walk, so you're not shifting your body weight way to the side to try and make space for your hip to come up. So that's the pelvic list exercise, and a great way to start working on that waddling movement pattern. That's it for today's video. If you like the video, smash that thumbs up button. If you know somebody who can benefit from the video, please share it with them. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Until next time, keep your life in motion.